gonna win the bowl game? Huh? That's what we want another day.
I sure hope so.
You guys ready to go?
We are.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the West Haymarket Joint Public Agency meeting. My name is Chris Beitler, and I'm here with Tim Clare and Carl Eskridge today, all three members of the Joint Public Agency Board. We conduct our meetings in accordance with the Open Meetings Law, which is posted in the back of the room for those who might be interested. Gentlemen, do you have any comments to open with, or shall we move forward?
Let's proceed.
Good, all right. Agenda item number 2 is the reports and communications received, letter from BKD. I don't know if is anyone explaining that item today, or is that just for notation, Steve?
I think that it's just for the record. I wasn't aware that, I wouldn't be honest, I wasn't even aware it was on the agenda, but I think it's just for the record.
Okay. Then we'll move on to agenda item number 3, public comment and time notifications. We certainly invite everybody to comment at the appropriate time on the agenda items. We limit that time to 5 minutes of necessity. And we only ask that those testifying identify themselves for the record. Item number 4, approval of the minutes of the JPA meeting held October 29th, 2015. Is there a motion for approval?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve. Are there any corrections or comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please, for approval.
Eskridge,
Yes.
Clare,
Yes.
Beitler,
Yes, the minutes are approved. Agenda item number 5, approval of the October 2015 payment register. Steve Hubka will take us through that.
As you noted, this is October. We're into December, so you might think November should be available as well, but it does take us a while to get that finalized and get it on the JP agenda, so we're talking about October only at this point. Payment register is a total of $1,511,549. There's quite a variety of different things on here, such as a District Energy Corp payment, sponsorship, an operational increment payment of $410,000, some parking service charges, property insurance, which is a one-time-a-year payment for $155,000. In fact, there's actually 2 months worth of parking management that hit this particular month. That's kind of a variety of things, none of them huge, except probably the biggest one being that sponsorship and operational increment payment, but for a total of $1,511,549.
Okay, are there any questions of Steve?
Yeah, I got a few. I was asked some questions and I didn't have answers to, and I thought you'd be the person to ask. That we've spent $57,000 for repairs to the parking lot. Can you describe what those repairs, or that's how it was at least noted in here?
Yeah, I'd have to get back to you on that, Regent. As I mentioned to you, I was in a meeting, got your email about 15 minutes ago, so I haven't had a chance to check into that.
And then, just for the record, that was one question. Another question is the JPA making payments to Citizens Information Center during October, and I'd like what answers to what that's for and what that's about.
Not even sure the amount, but they do charge us to televise the meetings. They charge us JPA for that.
And then we paid the city in August $99,000, and in September $110,000 to manage the parking garages, and so is that going to be a continual perpetual thing, or is there going to be other ways to do it, and perhaps in some sort of a less expensive way?
I suspect that will continue. That's a reimbursement for the costs that we incur for Republic Parking to manage our parking garages, and the contract calls for us to reimburse them for their actual expenses that are incurred by parking services.
And will it continue to be? It'll continue to be that high?
I suspect it will. With the, I think there's going to be fluctuations when they do various maintenance things, and if they buy equipment, that can certainly spike the expenditures for a particular period. But in general, yes, it's going to continue.
And then we're hiring a consultant for project management, and my question is that are we going to continue to need those services, or is that specific? Are there ways to look at continue to? I mean, I'm just looking for ways to also try to keep this project as positive as it's been in the years past.
I presume that the question
That gets into Paula and the PC Sports and that type of thing, and I'm just curious.
Yeah.
That will continue to be an annual thing, but there's some people that are asking about it, so I wanted to follow up and see what the plans were.
Yeah, I think it'd probably be better to address that when that agenda item comes up, which I think is next. But
Okay.
we do have Paula here to help me answer those questions.
Okay.
Okay, are there any additional questions of Steve with respect to the payment register? Thank you, Steve. Is there public comment on the payment register? Agenda item number 5.
Seeing no members of the public here.
All right, seeing none, is there a motion for approval of the payment register?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Beitler?
Yes, the register is approved. Agenda item number 6, the October 2015 expenditure report, again from Mr. Hupka.
Yes, reports for Phase 1 and Phase 2 and the operating budget are included there and do reflect the payments that were just reported on in the payment register. And being very early in the fiscal year, we're well under budget at this point in time. And there hasn't been anything come up that's unforeseen at this point.
Can you give me an idea of contingency remaining, both from the construction and the owners' the contingencies, as well as where we stand with the occupation tax receipts?
I can address the occupation tax receipts. We finished the calendar year about 7%, or I should say through 11 months, we're 7% up over last year. And every month has been very consistent in that 6.5% to 8% of an increase over the prior year, so it's doing extremely well. I think when it comes to the contingency amount, I'll ask Paula to come forward. That's one of the reasons we have Paula, is to monitor those things, so I'll let her answer that question.
Good afternoon. So on the overall contingency for the project, we're still sitting at almost $12 million in infrastructure contingency and $2 million in arena contingency for a total of $14 million.
And does that include the payment made for the ice center?
Correct.
So that's
out. That's already accounted for in our
accounted for.
costs.
Fantastic.
Correct. And to answer your earlier question about the $57,000, which is, it's noted in the operational costs as maintenance. That's what we pay DLA for the work they do in the West Haymarket, as well as the Parks Department, and they mow the approaches to the bridges and things like that. So it's not.
So that's not. It's inaccurate in terms of repairs to the parking.
It's ongoing
garages.
maintenance.
It's ongoing maintenance. Okay.
Correct.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, is there public comment on the expenditure report? Seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 7, WH 1525, relating to the consultant agreement with PC Sports. Again, Steve Hubko will explain that item.
Yes, this is to renew the PC Sports contract for $17,000 a month or $204,000 a year for calendar 2016 to continue to provide the same types of services they have in the past. I've gotten some information from Adam about some of the things they're doing. They're all the types of skills that we either don't have the staff to do internally and in most cases don't have the skill to do. Number one on here, for example, that he indicated to me is the altar remediation and site prep. There's a number of things ongoing. Relocation of Burlington Northern parking lot and the project required to complete it. And I think the documents you have explain the scope of services as well that once again are very valuable to us. As an example, one of the things that PC Sports helped us with greatly, and this is Paula in particular, was the allocation of bond proceeds to the project, which was essential for preparing for any future IRS audit of our tax-exempt bonds. Paula had all the records, had the knowledge of the project, and spent a ton of time working with the folks from Gilmore and Bell and Don Hers and so on. And that type of thing was very time-consuming, and only somebody that's been involved in the project and with the knowledge that Paula has could really complete that successfully. So it's been a very valuable contract to have ongoing beyond the completion of much of the building down there.
I think it's important. I don't think the public understands as much as she does and the PC Sports does for this project as it happens behind the scenes. And so one of the points of bringing up the question was to have some sort of record made as far as just the depth and breadth of value that I think PC Sports brings to the table in helping the city with this project.
Yeah, those of us in finance have relied upon them greatly for their management of this project and continue to rely upon them.
I would echo Tim's remarks. As the new person on the board, I can't talk to these guys about anything. And so if I've got questions and information where typically on a board you might go to one of your colleagues on the board, I can't do that because of we would be a meeting. And so it's really appreciative of having Paula and her staff to have that ready source of information when it's needed. So thank you.
Okay, any other questions of Steve? Is there public comment on this particular item? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve WH 1525?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Further comment? Call the roll, please.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Beitler?
Yes. Agenda item number 7 is approved. Agenda item number 8, WH 1526, a resolution relating to engineering services with Olson Associates and the Joint Public Agency. Adam? Caleb, you're talking to us
Adam's not
today.
here today. Good afternoon. I'm Caleb Swanson, PC Sports. This resolution is for amendment number 20 to the agreement for engineering services between the Joint Public Agency and the LHIT, or Lincoln Haymarket Infrastructure Team, which is headed by Olson Associates. They're kind of, you've seen their name quite a bit over the past few years. They've basically been tasked, or were tasked, with the design, construction oversight, testing materials, things like that, for most projects outside of the arena itself. Their contract currently expires at the end of this calendar year, so this is kind of a two-part resolution. There are still several smaller projects that we're looking at. One, remediation south of Alter, relocation of Burlington parking. coordination of the streetscapes with some of the private development, like on Block 2 that's going on right now, that we will need their continued support for. Their current contract, as I said, expires the end of this year. They still have approximately $220,000 unspent on that contract. So kind of what we're doing here is that sum of money is more than adequate to cover any expenses that we foresee for this year. So in addition to using those unused funds to fund this contract extension, we're also reducing the current contract by $100,000. Which is a net savings and a credit to the current project budget. Staff recommendation obviously is for approval, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Caleb. Are there questions of Caleb?
I'll ask one.
Sure.
So what happens to the $100,000?
The $100,000 would roll back into the contingency.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Caleb, thank you very much. Is there public comment on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve WH 1526?
Move approval.
Second.
The moved and seconded. Further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Beitler?
Yes. The resolution stands approved. Agenda item number 9, the next meeting date. Without objection, that date will be Wednesday, January 27th, 2016, I believe, at 3:30 p.m. in the City County Building, Council Chambers, first floor. You gentlemen okay with that? Okay. Then is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. Call the roll, please.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Beitler?
Yes, we are adjourned.